Today we have
the myths
that make you mad. The answer to a flat stomach is crunches and planks.
Oh God.
Lifting weights will make me bulky. Don't send me to the weights room.
Okay.
If the scale isn't going down, it's just because I'm gaining muscle.
People hate this answer, which is belly fat in particular is just one of those areas that can be the last place to come off. So it tends to be a quote unquote problem area for a lot of people.
I have got one little hack. It was a game changer for me when I figured this out a few years ago. It's literally just stand up straight. So many women have an anterior pelvic tilt, which means the front of your pelvis sits lower than the back. So if you go and stand in the mirror and just look how you naturally stand from the side, if you tend to stick your bum out a bit, curve your lower back a bit, your tummy's gonna stick out.
It completely changes the way your body looks, especially like in the mirror or in a photo front. If you actually stand up tall, it makes a real difference. All the myths.
All the myths.
Fitness myths.
Yes.
To be specific.
Well, because we could just talk for hours about all of the myths.
All the myths, yeah.
So we thought, no, we'll just be specific. We'll talk about the fitness ones today. So I've got a little list that we agreed we can't talk about them all. So we've agreed these are the big ones, especially when it comes to women and women in the gym and women and exercises for weight loss. So should we get stuck straight in?
Let's get into it.
All right. So the first one up is the answer to a flat stomach is crunches and planks.
Oh God. Yes. I mean, this is like a consistent question that I get is like, how can I like lose weight off my legs or my stomach or whatever else? And people hate giving this answer, which is like, hey, you need to lose overall body fat and it will eventually come off that area. But alongside doing resistance training, so you maximize fat loss, not just weight loss. And belly fat in particular is just one of those areas that it can be the last place to come off. So it tends to be a quote unquote problem area for a lot of people, especially if you've gained more weight there because you've been pregnant or because you're going through menopause. Again, people hyperfixate on this area of the bodies and then are really just trying to look for like the answer, the secret. And unfortunately saying like, hey, do resistance training a couple of times a week, eat in a calorie deficit, eat whole foods, and be patient for 6 months. That's like not what anybody wants to hear. But that is the unfortunate and I don't know if it is the unfortunate reality, because anything that people want, like if you want a really successful business or you want to be in really great shape, like it makes sense that it should be like a little bit more difficult. And yes, you know, there might be like Sally, who's just naturally had a flat stomach whole life and we can be jealous of her and whatever else. But like comparison just doesn't serve you. And like, she's probably like won the genetic the genetic lottery in a lot of ways. And, you know, you've just got to make sure that you're taking steps to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. And I think the key is if you are doing anything, at least be using your time efficiently, right? So if you want to make those changes and you are spending time doing an exercise, don't do crunches.
Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah.
Like do something that's actually going to make a difference.
Yeah.
Because the amount of times we've had clients who've said, oh, you know, I've been doing Pilates for like a year and my tummy still looks the same. Well, I'm sorry, but that's because it probably hasn't been the most effective for your goals.
Yeah.
So definitely, like you said, resistance training. But I have got one little hack.
Go on.
Which
Let's go.
was a game changer for me when I figured this out a few years ago. Is literally just stand up straight.
Yeah.
If it's your tummy that you're not happy with, so many women have an anterior pelvic tilt, which means the front of your pelvis sits lower than the back.
Yeah.
Because you kind of maybe have like an exaggerated curve in your lower back.
Especially if you wear heels all the time.
If you wear heels or if you carry kids around.
Yeah.
And so you're counterbalancing. So if you go and stand in the mirror and just look how you naturally stand from the side, if you tend to stick your bum out a bit, curve your lower back a bit, your tummy's going to stick out.
Yeah.
And if you actually just take a moment to use your lower abdominals to pull your pubic bone towards your belly button and lift your rib cage up, you will look like you have a flatter stomach.
Yeah. I literally find this, if I do that, my shoulders look better, my chest looks better, like my whole, just, it's weird, you know what I mean? But we've all got into that like slouched pouch position nowadays, and it does it like, it completely changes the way your body looks, especially like in the mirror or in a photo front, if you actually stand up tall. So yeah, it makes a real difference. And I think another part of this as well with belly fat is that sometimes you're just bloated and you're like, oh, my stomach looks so bad, or maybe you've got like a more flat stomach anyway, but your stomach gets more bloated and you think you're gaining belly fat. And you know, you shouldn't be getting consistently bloated all the time. That's normally a sign that some of the foods that you're eating are not agreeing with you. But you can just bloat from time to time. It can actually just be caused by stress and poor sleep. And then there's also different points in your menstrual cycle where you might just have a more bloated stomach. And that's fine. Like, it's completely normal. But it's having the awareness to understand the difference between the two.
And in terms of what's actually normal, I think it's important that we bring home that women actually need to have some more body fat stores than probably what you idealize as a fit, lean physique. So around 12% is actually healthy body fat for women. And actually, if you look at women who's 12%, that's actually very, very
I was
lean.
about to say, is it that low?
That's like the minimum.
That's
the
like
minimum.
Shredded. Yeah.
Whereas for a guy, like the equivalent would be like 3%. Like the equivalent shreddedness.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And like 3% is like you're on death's doors at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so actually a more healthy body fat for a woman is like 20, 22. But what we see on social media or on fitness magazines or whatever is maybe someone who's like 17.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily healthy.
So most of the women that I have spoken to or know who have got a six pack or really, really lean, have lost a period. They don't have a period. And there seems to be, and this is just anecdotal, and I've just have people I've spoken to and other coaches tend to have a lot of gut issues. And I think it's just the period going is just showing that they're not ready to carry a baby at that point. They've just literally not got enough weight or fat on them. And again, that's fine if that's your choice and that's you do you and that's the type of stuff. But like, yeah, being really lean and what's portrayed on as success on social media isn't necessarily.
And it's portrayed as health.
Yeah, which in some cases, like there's a couple of women who I follow who are like healthy and do have a six pack, and that can be like genetics and where they store body fat and whatever else. But it's a lot of women on social media who are just like really thin, borderline eating disorder sometimes, and are not healthy. They look great in like good lighting and good photos, and they've got the abs and everything else. But if you were to look at their health markers and everything else, probably not the healthiest people.
Yeah. So we did diverge a little bit.
We did a little bit.
But
it's a big myth.
The take home is you can't get rid of a tummy pooch with crunches, and also you probably shouldn't be aiming for a super flat tummy anyway.
Yeah. And where you would want to spend your time is doing resistance training and educating yourself more about food.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, myth number 2.
Let's go.
Lifting weights will make me bulky. Don't send me to the weights room.
Okay.
We just did.
Yeah, we just did. Yeah, it's just not that easy to gain muscle. Like women have a tenth of the testosterone levels that guys have. Guys go to the gym for years and can't even build that much muscle. Like it takes a very, 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 very long time to put muscle on the body. It will do wonders for your metabolic health. It will do wonders for you as you age. Muscle is such a key part of having good quality of life, especially as we get older, but just in general anyway. It will make you look good. We talk about the Pilates classes before and the Zumba classes. A lot of these women, sometimes I've spoken to them, like, I go to the gym 3-4 times a week, but I don't look like I'm someone that works out 3-4 times a week. And it's like, yeah, it's because you're not lifting weights. You know what I mean? If you started doing full body resistance training, and you could still do those classes alongside it, it would completely change the way your physique and your body looks over that, 6-12 months, and you would start to have more of that toned physique that a lot of women aspire to have. So
I think it's really important that we break that down though, because there's the term bulky, which I get, like a lot of women don't want to be bulky. You don't want to have broad shoulders that don't look good in a dress.
Yeah.
But you do want to be toned. So there is an element here where you're saying, I do want to have some lean muscle, but I don't want it to go too far the other way. And I think that's the point, isn't it? Like it doesn't just happen on its own.
It doesn't just happen overnight, and it doesn't just happen on its own. And also, it's very easy to lose muscle. So the muscle has to have a reason to stay. So like, let's say you just go and lift all the weights and you're just so anabolic that all this muscle comes on you, like super quick.
Can you explain anabolic, please?
Sai, can you give me a good definition of anabolic here? It would, I'm not even going to attempt. I'm just actually going to wait for Sai. But like, let's say you could just, you could put muscle on at such a rapid rate, like compared to like every other woman out there. If you just don't give that muscle a reason to stick around, as in consistently training it or lifting at that weight, it will just start to regress very quickly.
Yeah.
So,
and that's something I've experienced myself. Like I lost loads of muscle after having my child. Have you got the definition of anabolic there?
Yeah, so it's very simple. It just refers to tissue building, mainly muscle.
Oh, Well, I guess
There
I
we go.
did use it in the right context.
Yes. But yeah, if you
Yeah.
don't train, like I couldn't train lower body for probably a year like I used to. So my muscle was like, well, you don't need me around here.
Yeah.
And poof, gone. Literally like probably 8 years worth of work gone in 1 year of not training.
The good thing is you can get it back fast because of muscle memory.
You can get it back.
Yeah.
But that's the ratio is really important there. Like it took me so long to build that muscle up. And yet if I wanted it gone,
it goes pretty quick. So yeah, like let's say your shoulders just got too bulky, quote unquote, like you could just stop doing exercises that use your shoulders as much or do lighter weights, and then it would go down. But 99% of people, like that will just not be an issue. Like it will just will not be an issue.
The cool thing is you can't spot reduce like body fat, but you can spot sculpt.
Yeah.
So if you're like, you know what, I really do want to have like nice toned shoulders, like that's a big thing for me. I like that. I pick exercises for that.
Yeah.
I know I don't want to have big bulky quads, so I don't pick exercises that build quads.
Yeah.
Like it is a lot more in your control.
Yeah, it's bodybuilding. It's an art, you know, and that's Arnold Schwarzenegger used to talk about this as like, you know, an artist is like painting with a brush, but a bodybuilder, like we're building the body and shaping the body, but we're doing it through, you know, work, like going to the gym and doing specific exercises to target the quads or the glutes or the shoulders or whatever else. So yeah, and you can have fun with it that way. You can build and shape your body how you choose to through resistance training.
And it's really cool because you actually see results relatively quickly, like compared to if you're trying to lose fat, because it comes off all over, it can feel like you're taking quite a long time to see something happening. If you're building muscle in a specific area, like your deltoids or like some women, you know, really want to have more toned arms, that can happen in a few weeks that you can see progress, right?
Yeah, you can. Muscle building can be a marathon and it can take time, but you can see newbie gains like really fast in the beginning, especially if you're not used to lifting weights or if you've just been doing class-based stuff.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that's really important is if you feel like you're bulking up, but it's at the long side a weight loss journey, it's probably because you're not losing fat, not that you're gaining all this muscle. That muscle sits underneath the fat that you still have. And so it feels like overall you feel bigger. But when the fat goes, you're going to look excellent.
Yeah, and that's it. Like a lot of people, like I've had so many clients like, oh my God, I can see my collarbone. Or like, oh, you know, and then you start to see like more defined arms. And like, that's it. Like you can be the most muscular person in the world. But if you're carrying too much body fat, you will not see that muscle. So as you start to lose more weight, you'll start to look more defined and more toned.
Yeah. And the key then is you've got to eat and train for whatever the goal is that you want. Because say you're Jamie and you do want to bulk up, you can eat and train to make that happen. If you're Stacey and you want to tone up, you can eat and train to make that happen.
Yeah. But the main take home, lift weights. Like you're not going to get bulky. Like, you're just not. If anyone does, feel free to drop me a personal message. I will have a one-to-one with you about this because it just does not happen. I think it's just come back to what you said is a lot of people they believe, and it is a belief that you are in a calorie deficit and not losing weight. So you must be gaining muscle at such a rate. And like that just isn't the case. It will often mean that you're just not in a calorie deficit because if you're losing weight, you would be losing. When weight loss is linear, like it may not be linear day to day, as in like your weight can fluctuate and bounce around. But when you zoom out over a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, a month, like if you draw a line through it, it should be linear in terms of going down. And if it's not, that's like the problem to solve.
So you have actually jumped ahead to one of the other myths.
Oh,
it's all right because it's a good one. If the scale isn't going down, it's just because I'm gaining muscle.
Yes. And I think that just comes back down to the fact that muscle building is a marathon. Fat loss can be a sprint, but it can also obviously feel like a marathon. And a reason the way fat loss is a sprint, even if you've got 200 pounds to lose, like your weight loss journey will eventually end. So it's a season of your life. It's not a game that you're playing forever. So like the goal is to get healthy and then stay healthy for the rest of your life. The goal is not to lose weight for the rest of your life. The goal is to lose weight until you get to a point where you're happy with, and hopefully that also aligns with, you know, overall health markers being in a great place as well. So weight loss is a season, is a sprint, versus building muscle can be a sprint, but it's so much more of a marathon in terms of the time it takes to build muscle and build strength.
Yeah, and it is something that has to be intentional with your training and your diet. Like we just said, if you're eating for weight loss, it's going to be very difficult for your body to pack on the muscle at that same time with that same diet. And equally, even if you were trying to gain muscle, a good baseline is around £1 per month for women of like, that's a
muscle?
realistic. Yeah, if you're really going for it, like that's what you could
That seems
achieve.
wildly high.
Like if you're going for it.
Yeah.
Lyle McDonald says so.
Okay. Well, but that'll be like £12 in a year. Maybe for like the first year, maybe like newbie gains. But I mean,
But just to put it in the context though, if the scale isn't going down, it's because I'm gaining muscle. If you're in a calorie deficit and you're trying to lose £1 a week,
yeah,
and yet you could only really gain a whole pound of
you
muscle
should
if
still be
you
losing
really went for it.
£3 of fat.
Right?
Yeah.
So the scale should still be going down.
Yeah. And even if you were to say, I would say that pound of muscle, that's probably when you're eating at a slight surplus, not a deficit, and you're doing progressive resistant training. So, take that into consideration. It's back to the word anabolic. It's not as anabolic to be in a deficit as it would be to be at maintenance or in a surplus. So
Can we just also break down all this maintenance, surplus, deficit?
Right. Okay. So when we're looking to lose weight, we need to consume fewer calories a day than our body burns. That's known as an energy deficit or a calorie deficit. When we're looking to maintain our weight, we want to consume the same amount of calories that our body burns. So that's maintenance. And when we're looking to gain weight, or people might say like I'm bulking, that's you're consuming more calories a day than your body burns. So that's a calorie surplus. Now, I don't like using the word bulk anymore because for a lot of people, it's just a ticket to just eat whatever the hell you want. And people often just gain ridiculous amounts of body fat for no reason. So, like a moderately small surplus, like 150 to 300 calories a day is fine for most people. And you'll see like maximum sort of gains around, building muscle, but also like minimizing fat, the amount of fat that you'll gain in a surplus as well. So
maybe call it build rather than bulk.
Build rather than bulk.
I like to call it.
Yeah,
Build
and
phase.
it's you're doing it in a little bit more of a controlled manner. But honestly, like most people could just stay at maintenance calories and see like phenomenal gains of just following a progressive plan. I would say if your nutrition's in a healthy place, unless you're like a hardcore person who wants to build as much muscle as fast as you can, like maintenance is a pretty solid place to be.
Yeah. And I think one of the other things to really take into consideration if you are eating at maintenance is use scales as like one measure, because you're going to see changes in your pictures and in like your tape measurements and how your clothes fit if you're eating at maintenance but training hard because you want to look leaner or more toned. Yeah.
Like I have so many clients that, I've been at maintenance for 6 months, but like they didn't have a thigh gap 6 months ago, and now they've got a thigh gap, but they're the same weight. You know what I mean? It's just like they've been gaining muscle and losing fat, but like maintaining their weight and their calories have been going up. And that's been amazing to see because their performance has gone through the roof. They're fitter, they're stronger, they're lifting overall more and heavier. And being able to like basically change their body composition. But I think the key there is, I just said 6 months. So, that was 6 months of maintaining, eating well, training hard, to see that sort of difference in body composition.
And that was the goal, because otherwise we're kind of contradicting what we said, where the scale isn't going down, it's because you're not losing muscle or gaining muscle. But if the goal is actually, I don't want to lose weight, I want to stay the same weight, I just want to look different, then that is valid.
Yeah, for most people, if the primary goal is to lose weight, then you're going to want to lose fat, not just weight. So yes, do resistance training while losing weight. But if you're not seeing the scales come down on a consistent basis, I would say like every 10 days you're not seeing it come down and that's continuing in a trend, it just means you're not in a calorie deficit. And that's a really hard pill for a lot of people to swallow because you're going to want to blame your hormones or polycystic ovaries or this or that and all of these other things. But that belief and that thought process in your head is quite literally the thing that's stopping you from losing weight.
Yeah, so, because when you take all of the emotion out of it and you just look at the data, the numbers don't lie.
That's it. Like data doesn't have emotion. And trust me, I can get really emotional about stuff sometimes, especially in business. And I look at the data and it's like, well, that's just... So yeah, like I get it, but like you have to apply that same sort of thought process. And look, it's tough. If you've struggled with your weight for a decade or two, sometimes we have to tell ourselves stories to almost protect ourselves, but again, that can just be a reason that's keeping you stuck.
Sorry to interrupt, just a quick ask. If you are enjoying today's episode, then please do give us a follow just to make sure you get every episode and we can keep cutting the BS and helping you hit your goals. Okay, the next myth that we've got is about how to train, and it is about women should use lower weight and high reps to tone up.
Yeah. So this is super common. Like you'll see, when we go and do like a dumbbell chest press and they use like 5 kilo dumbbells or 10 pounds and they'll do like 15 reps. And it kind of like, feels good and you feel like a little bit of a burn maybe on the last couple of reps, but you never really challenge yourself to go up to the next sort of weight. If you can do 3 sets of 10 to 12 of anything, you probably can lift the next weight up, apart from a lateral raise. That's probably the one. And the best way to look at how you can see if you can take a considerable step up in weight is often just look at the size of the muscle. So let's take your legs, for example, biggest muscles in the body. People might find like they do a leg press and it's like next week they come throw like an extra 5 kilo on or 10 pounds on. And then the next week or 2 weeks later, they're throwing another 5 and they're like, wow, like I'm progressing so fast with my leg press. But like, look at the size of your legs and your glutes and then look at the size of like the little muscle on the side of your shoulder. Like it's in comparison. So when you do a go from 5 pounds to 7 pounds or 10 pounds in a lateral raise, like that's like
50% more.
It's 50% more on the smallest, one of the smallest muscles that you've got in your body. So it's a huge jump. And that's where, you might have to get really comfortable with higher reps or more time under the tension, like really slow reps before you can progress up. But yes, for a lot of people, a lot of women, you're training in that 12 to 15 rep range or even 12 to 20 reps. And that's just a really good sign for you that you can take confidence in, like you can lift heavier than that. And just test it, do 6 to 10 with the next weight up, and you will be shocked. Like near enough all the women I've done this with are like shocked, like, oh, that wasn't that bad. It's like, yeah, and the next minute they're doing that weight at the 12 to 15 reps, and it's like, yeah, you can go heavier again. And like, there's no way I could lift that. And it's like, yeah, you can, you know what I mean? So
I think that's one of the amazing bonuses of if you've never had a personal training session, like just go and book one and just find your threshold with somebody who knows what bodies look like when they're at the threshold.
And please find a good trainer. Like that's all I would say.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I love health and fitness coaches. We've all, like if you just put it at a baseline, every coach and every trainer wants the same thing. We want the best for other people and want them to see that succeed. But unfortunately, there are some bad trainers out there that I've seen, not do the best of things with people. Okay. So yeah, if you find a good reputable personal trainer, go and have one session with them, like Stacey just said, and you'll be like, holy shit, like I am like 40% stronger than I realized.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, like you said, it's that nice kind of comfortable feeling sometimes if we stay at the weight where we can do 15 to 20 reps. It feels like we're doing something, and heart rate probably goes a bit higher because you're working out for longer than what you think, oh, if I only do 8 reps, that's going to be over and done with. I'm not going to be doing any hard work. But if you just give it a chance to try it the other way, you'll realize this is really quite hard work.
Yeah.
Your heart rate does get high.
Oh, definitely.
And it's working in a different way. But the really important thing is there's actually not one way that's better than the other. So would you mind just explaining what volume is?
Yeah, so there's lots of different ways you can apply volume when it comes to resistance training. So this can be like tempo can be one. So this is like time under tension and tempo. So this is like how long it takes you to do a rep. So like, let's say we're doing a push up, like a 2-second tempo could be like 1 second down and then 1 second back up. Then you can change it. So you could do 1 second down, 1 second pause at the bottom and then 1 second up. And then you can play around with that, the eccentric, the concentric, and the pause at the bottom or the hold. And you can play around with all different tempos. And that's a way of adding more volume. So people will know, if people have done classes before, they've probably had you like sit in a squat for 30 seconds and it's like, oh my God, my legs are on fire. So these are all different ways that you can apply, increase the volume by like slowing down the tempo in a lot of ways. That's one way, and that plays into the umbrella of volume. Then you've got range of motion. So let's say, you're used to doing a squat, but you only squat 30% of the way down. But then over time, you get to squat ass to grass with good form. Like you've now managed to increase the volume that you're putting your body under and your legs under by increasing the range of motion. So that's another way of applying volume, by getting more mobile in certain movements. Then there's the obvious ones, which is lift more weights, which is like lift heavier weights, get stronger. And then another one would be increasing the amount of reps or sets that you do. So you could go, right, I'm doing, sets of 8 or sets of 10. When you take it to sets of 12, sets of 15, sets of 20, that would be a way of increasing volume. Or let's say you do 3 sets of 10, but then you take it to 4 sets of 10, 5 sets of 10. So all of that is just increasing volume, and there's no best approach in essence. It's just like maybe how you prefer to train and what sort of goals you've got. But there's the good thing with that is there's lots of different ways to increase volume, and they can all apply progressive overload and see you get stronger and build bigger muscles.
And so it isn't that just because you're a woman, you have to just use lower weight and higher reps to get your volume in. That's the key thing. You could do 5 sets of 5 but go super heavy and get excellent results, and you could do high reps, low weight, and get the same result. I mean, you probably have to do a lot of reps to get the same results, but there's no one way.
There's no one way, but like there's definitely, maybe Si can give me the exact word around what this is. There's like, I couldn't just go and get 2 kilo dumbbells and do 50 reps with 2 kilos and expect to get like big arms. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it would take you more than 50 though.
Yeah,
That's the problem,
like
right?
however many reps it would take, like it just wouldn't have the same stimulus.
Yeah.
So there is a point where just like if you are lifting so light at such a high rep range, like you're not going to get the same stimulus. Like no, there's no okay. Whatever it would be is like, so yeah, you do want to be lifting something that does challenge you to an extent.
Especially if you want to be efficient with your time, because we're all busy, right?
Yeah.
So if you've only got 30, 45 minutes to go to the gym, why are you doing 20 reps of something 4 times over when you could get the same result doing something 8 reps 3 times over?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to bring in with this as well is a really cool piece of research. There's multiple studies actually that show this, but women do have a better endurance and a better recovery. So we can do more volume in one workout than men.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what Jamie was just saying about like do like pauses in your reps or work at slowing it down or look at how much volume you're doing overall, you can do that and recover better than a man. So do it. Like get the most out of your sessions. You're going anyway. You might as well put more in that session and get better results out.
Definitely. Yeah.
And we can also train more times per week because we're badass.
Really?
Yeah, really. I'll show you the study after.
I want to see a study. Yeah.
Okay, the next myth that I've got up, and this is super common that we have clients come to us believing that this is the key. HIIT training and cardio are the way to burn fat.
Yeah. So like no exercise elicits fat loss. So like, let's just get that out of the way to begin with. Like you can do HIIT every day. You can do cardio for 2 hours a day. If you eat more calories than you burn, you will not lose weight. So exercise does not primarily elicit fat loss. Like that is going to come down to controlling your nutrition. However, one of the key traits we see with people who lose weight and successfully keep it off is that they exercise. Now, if you're looking at going more down like a sprint approach, which really plays into that all or nothing mentality that so many of the clients that we speak with have, which is like, I do want to just lose as much fat as I can in a short space of time. Like minute for minute, cardio will burn at the right rate, will burn more calories than doing a resistance session. However, you know, when we're looking to lose weight, you're looking to maximize fat loss, not just weight loss, and you will probably lose more fat and muscle if you were to just do cardio and be in a calorie deficit at the same time. And then HIIT training has just been like the buzzword for the past decade, as if like, oh, we all need to do HIIT, when like 95% of workouts online that say they're HIIT are just actually circuit training. It's not proper HIIT, because if you've done proper HIIT, like twice a week you can do it, or max 3 times a week if you're like optimizing your recovery, just because it just wipes the floor with you. Like if you do a proper HIIT session, like you want to go to bed afterwards.
Because the point is, it's called high intensity interval training, and that high intensity interval should be so hard. It should be like right at the peak of what you're physically capable of doing. Like you should be absolutely puffing. Yeah,
it's completely taxing your central nervous system, like beating it down. Like that is something that I used to do dead mill sprints. So it's where you don't turn the treadmill on, you power the treadmill yourself with your feet, and you sprint for like 10, 12 seconds. Like that's it, like flat out as fast as you can, 100%. And then you rest. Like I've done this, Si's got like a dread on his face because like, yeah, I done it with those guys, and like 2 of them threw up afterwards. You know what I mean? Because it was just like, it's such a shock to
We're not saying that's what you need to do, by the way.
But I'm also just trying to say like, that's the intensity of HIIT. I used to do it, and there was times in my early 20s when I was doing it really regularly, and I would get myself sick all the time because it is that hard, especially if you're doing it properly. Versus like most people are thinking like, oh, I'm doing a HIIT workout, that's the best for fat loss. And it's like you're doing a circuit training, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's not HIIT. Like, and HIIT is really effective, but it's also very taxing on your nervous system, and
very stressful on the body.
Yeah,
and I think for a lot of people who are struggling to fit in like life stuff and look after themselves and manage their stress, probably don't need to be adding that level of stress.
I don't. if you've been struggling to lose weight or struggling to stay consistent, the last thing that I would want to do for you as a trainer is go and do something that takes you 4 days to recover from, or 3, like where you just like feel like you're just like, oh my God, like my head feels heavy getting off the pillow.
And you dread it.
Yeah. So, you know, the sweet spot with exercise is where it's not so easy that you get bored when you're like on your phone every time. It's not so hard that you dread it and get like massive anxiety about it, but it's somewhere in the middle where it's like, it's challenging enough, but like it's keeping you, it's basically like getting into flow state with exercise. So that's where I'd want you to be. But yeah, like if you're a busy person, you want to be consistent, and being consistent is not going to be putting you in the floor after doing a couple of HIIT sessions.
I think sometimes the attraction though with them is people like tout it as, you need to do 20 minutes a HIIT, that's it, done. Which is very attractive if you're busy.
Of course.
But you know what? If you could do that 3 or 4 times a week, if you could make that 30 or 40 minutes, I know I would take that as double.
Yeah.
But it's still not a huge ask in the grand scheme of your week.
Mm-hmm.
You could get exceptional results doing 3 40-minute workouts in the gym, like with weights.
Yeah. Or even doing them at home, you know, if you could buy like a set of dumbbells. Yeah. I was just showing you guys that video before by that Dr. Rhonda, and she was literally just showing the way, like, if you're like tired and you do a workout, like it brings you back up to baseline in terms of like your energy levels and your cognitive function. So like actually when you're tired, working out actually like levels you out so much more. So yeah, I don't even know what the point was anymore, but like
HIIT
lots
and
of good
cardio
stuff.
are not the secret sauce.
No, they're
weight
not. They're not
loss,
the secret
sadly.
sauce. Yeah,
And do you know what? I don't think it is, sadly, because I don't actually know anybody that goes on the treadmill or the cross trainer or whatever for an hour every day and loves it.
Yeah.
Like maybe if they're training for a race and for that period, they're like, right, I want to hit this like pace, or, you know, there's a goal, but not every hour, every day for the rest of their lives.
No, not at all. But you can view weight loss as a season. Like I've had some clients who are like, hey, like I've got more time, I've got more capacity, I've got like a treadmill or cross trainer at home. Like, can I do more to lose weight faster? And I'm like, hey, look, if you want to throw on an episode of Netflix and jump on the treadmill and do a walk for an hour at the end of the day, or the cross trainer, and get an extra hour of cardio in on top of what you're already doing, and you've got the capacity to do that, then yes, you know, like, but I was like, and we'll be able to lose weight faster through that period. But like, you're not going to need to do as much as that, or like, you're not going to need to do it at all once we get you to your goal.
Yeah. Although it is something that we always bang on about, is finding something you can keep up is the key. So if you do like going for a walk in the evening, or you do like, you know, sticking your Netflix on, and that becomes a habit that is enjoyable for you, then great, but don't feel like that's something that you have to do forever.
Yeah. Again, weight loss is a season.
Yeah. And you did just mention this one, and it comes into, what was the doctor's name?
Dr. Rhonda, what she's called, found my fitness on Dr. Rhonda Patrick. Yeah, found my fitness on Instagram. So
this leads into one of the other myths that we hear all the time, is like, I'm just too exhausted to work out, or I'm too busy to work out, which is something you kind of have to just try cutting your own bullshit and try doing it. And then you'll see, actually, that isn't a real excuse.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's like what's the word where you do something and you expect, like you exercise and you expect to make it you more tired, but it actually more tired. Look at the English I'm getting out today. You do exercise and you expect that you're going to be tireder.
Counterintuitive.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive, but you actually have more energy. It's weird. You know what I mean? It's like you wake up in the morning and you're knackered, and yeah, okay, your body naturally wakes itself up, but then you work out and you're like alive. And your brain is like firing on all cylinders, and you have more energy.
Well, it is because you're pumping more oxygen to your brain by being active. So you feel like everything's working better, your cognitive function is better, because it is.
Yeah. Like when people do long distance running, they get like a runner's high. They literally feel high because it's just like there's just so much blood and oxygen being pumped around. So yeah, like if you've got low energy and you're not feeling great, like that's like an even more of a reason to like want to go and work out. I think I don't think we've got this down as a myth, but it's that idea of like waiting to be motivated to work out, as if like one day, like we're just going to wake up and be like, this is the day. I am so motivated. I have got the time. I'm going to work out. And it's like, say some people may have had that day, but then you only exercise when those days come around, and they're so few and far between that you're just never consistent. So it's showing up, it's getting it done. then you start to realize you have more energy. Then you keep doing it and keep staying consistent, and you have more energy, and then you end up feeling like I've got more time because I have more energy. And that's like again, just it feels counterintuitive. Wait, I'm spending time exercising, I feel tired, but now I've got more energy and I feel like I've got more time. It's
because you are more effective with your time outside of your exercise.
Yeah.
Because your brain's working better. You're not like lethargic, dragging yourself through your daily tasks.
I'll literally work like a 14-hour day, 15-hour day sometimes, which thankfully it's not all the time anymore. But I'll come down and I'll speak to Steph and I'll be like, I feel great. And I'm like, there's no way I could operate at this capacity if I didn't look after myself. Like if I wasn't looking after my sleep and exercising all the time and eating well, like there's no way I could have that output. I'm like, yeah, that's great because that's what I'm choosing to do with business right now. But like, say that's not you and you've got a 9-to-5 job, but you want to come home and spend a quality time with your kids, or you want to come home and have a great evening with your partner. Yeah, like if you're just exhausted, like what are you gonna do? Just like
Veg on the sofa.
Yeah,
not probably talk to each other.
Yeah, and just like doom scroll. It's just like
yeah.
Or would you rather have that like that more engaging evening with however you choose to spend your time? Of course, it's the latter, and a huge part of that is exercise.
And the long-term benefits in terms of energy are huge as well, because the way your body responds to any stimulus, if you ask your body to do something, it says, oh, right, we better be a bit better prepared next time she asks us to do that.
Yeah.
So let's get stronger or quicker or whatever. With your energy pathways, so like how your body turns stored energy, i.e. fat or glucose, into energy you can actually use, that happens in your mitochondria. I'm getting a bit sciencey now.
Yeah.
But it's like a part of your cells. So let's call it like the engine of your cells. When you exercise regularly, it causes your body to grow more mitochondria. So you literally just become more efficient at turning
everything
energy stores into actual energy. So like the science is there. You just have to get started. If you feel like you have to have energy to do exercise, please just trust us on this one. Just get started, and that like snowball effect will start to take place.
Yeah. I mean, Sai will definitely be able to get the data on this because he's told me about it many times, which is how many people are walking around who are probably like pre-diabetic, especially in the US. I think there's some like crazy numbers about it. And it is probably playing a big part in like having low energy levels. But then you start like, you can reverse the effects of type 2 diabetes. And a huge part with that would be getting physically fit and building muscle. And it's just like, that's amazing. Like all the health issues that can come with, being diabetic are huge. And again, like that problem can be fixed of having more energy and reversing the effects of type 2 diabetes by exercising. Go on.
Yeah, so I've got it here. So it's approximately 96 million US adults age 18 and older, which is 38% of the adult population have pre-diabetes.
Holy shit.
And nearly 80% of them are unaware that they have it.
Wow. And what's the symptoms, like feeling lethargic?
I think a lot of times you don't necessarily get the symptoms as well, but it's because and that's probably why a lot of people don't know, but then they're close to getting diabetes, and then that's when obviously it's very hard to reverse it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have got a hack for this one as well.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, because this is something I really struggle with at the moment. My son doesn't sleep. He hates to sleep. I have the 15-minute rule where I'm like, I don't have the energy. I'm too tired. I'll just do 15 minutes. And I make a deal with myself. I'll do 15 minutes. And if after 15 minutes, I'm still too tired and I'm still not feeling it, I'm allowed to stop. But I mean, maybe 1 in 10 times that happens and I stop. The rest of the time, I'm like, I know, I'm kind of feeling all right now. Like, feeling my flow, I've got my mojo, got my music on. I'm actually having quite a good time.
Yeah.
So my hack is set the 15-minute rule for yourself. Just go in, get going, and then allow yourself. You're not allowed to break promises to yourself. So if you get to 15 minutes and you still don't want to do it, you can't then like say, no, you have to stay.
Yeah.
Otherwise it doesn't work. But try it.
Yeah, that's it's almost you have to like find ways to just convince yourself to do stuff, just like I'll just go to the gym, and once I get through the doors, like I'll just do a couple of exercises, and if I'm not into it, and then like you said, often I'm here now, like I'm into it, like I've got a bit of a pump and the blood's flowing around, you feel good. But but then at the same time with what you just said, honoring that self out, like if you are genuinely feeling exhausted still after 15 minutes, like hey, take the day off.
Yeah, or use that time for yourself. So this actually happened to me last week. Went downstairs, went into basically my office is where we've got like a large gym kit, and I did my 15 minutes of like starting to warm up, and I was like, I am just zonked. And so I used my time to like meditate and just lie there still, like feel what my body needed, breathe. So I was still dedicating time to myself and I was actually giving my body what it needed. I didn't just go, 15 minutes done, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
You know, it was still about respecting what I needed to do to be in a better place.
Yeah, giving yourself, you've carved out that time for yourself, so giving yourself a bit of that you time.
Yeah. So hopefully that has busted some myths.
Definitely.
Today, we would love to know if there's any other fitness myths that have been burning in your mind. We will bust those as well. And that has been the Body Smart Podcast.
Hey everyone, if you've been listening to the podcast and enjoying the episodes, we'd love it if you could go and give us a quick review so we can keep cutting the BS and getting better and better.